Hi everyone, in today's video I'll be repairing an iPhone 13 mini that I bought for just 150 euros. The seller mentioned that the display was separating from the frame, so let's take a closer look and see what's really going on. I walk you through the entire repair process step by step. Let's get started. The first thing I do when I get a used device is turn it on and check the basic functions. As you can see, this iPhone also has a cracked back glass. Repairing it would be quite complicated, and since it doesn't affect functionality, I've decided not to fix it. The display looks cracked, but it's actually just the screen protector. On the edges you can see that the previous owner tried to fix the separated display using adhesive tape. As you can see, the device is not iCloud locked, so the motherboard can be used without any issues. After what felt like an endless setup, we are finally on the home screen. I've checked that all the basic functions are working, so we can move on to the repair. From the side you can see that this is quite an unusual issue. The display frame has separated from the screen itself. This will make disconnecting the display flex cable tricky, as there is a risk of tearing them. I'll be using a piece of paper to mark where each screw was placed, since iPhone typically use multiple screws of different sizes. The display connectors are secured under protective covers that need to be removed first. Since the display is separated from the frame, accessing them is quite tricky in this case. As you can see, this cover is hooked onto the board, so it needs to be unhooked by pulling it slightly towards the battery. Now I finally have proper access to the display connectors and I can disconnect them. Now the issue is that the display is detached from the frame, but the frame itself is still stuck to the housing. If I tried to separate it, the flex cables would likely tear, so I need to carefully separate the frame from the housing without damaging the sensitive cables. In this position you can see that the cables are bent underneath the frame. As the frame slowly separates from the housing, it allows me to lift the display more easily as well. Now that I have better access to the logic board, I can unscrew the screws holding the top cover in place. Underneath it there are connectors for the display sensors, which needs to be disconnected before removing the display itself. And finally, we can remove the display. The original display seal remained on the housing, but it's collected a lot of dirt. Before we install the new gasket, we need to give the housing a good clean. Since the display has been separated for a while and it was only held in place with adhesive tape, a lot of dust has accumulated on the battery and other components. I'm using isopropyl alcohol to clean everything. Now that the housing is ready for the new display, it's time to prepare the display itself. First, I'll clean the outer frame since there is still some old glue left on it. There is also a lot of dust on the inside of the display, so I'll clean that as well using isopropyl alcohol. You have to be very careful not to tear the flex cables at the top of the display. They are very fragile. Now that the outer side of the frame is clean, we need to clean the space between the display and the frame. A lot of dirt has accumulated in this area during use and we need to remove it before applying the glue. The area around the Face ID sensor glass is very delicate. Be careful not to let any isopropyl alcohol seep into it or allow dirt to get it in, as this could affect the functionality of Face ID or the front camera. Once the frame is cleaned, we can apply the glue. I recommend using a small amount and applying it slowly to avoid it seeping into the back side of the display. Make sure the frame is perfectly aligned with the display. If it's not perfectly aligned, you won't be able to mount it back into the housing properly. Again, be extra cautious around the Face ID area. Personally, I didn't apply any adhesive to this area at all because even a small amount of glue on the Face ID lenses can't be cleaned off, and that would mean replacing the entire display. Carefully press the display onto the frame and squeeze out any excess adhesive from areas where it doesn't fit perfectly. Once the display is ready to be attached to the housing, we can apply the adhesive gasket to the housing underneath the display. The gasket has cutouts for certain components, so you can use these to align it properly with the housing. Make sure not to place it the wrong way around. Before attaching the display to the housing, make sure to insert the ear speaker cover into the top part of the display. After placing the display gasket to the housing, make sure it's firmly pressed along the edges to ensure a good seal with the housing. Now that everything is ready, we can peel off the top part of the gasket to connect the display. When connecting the display, you can use a support object to prop it up. Be careful to keep it at maximum of 90 degrees in relation to the housing, as any greater angle can put pressure on the flex cables and damage them. When disconnecting the connectors, make sure the battery is disconnected from the logic board, but the battery connector should always be connected last, as connecting it earlier could accidentally short-circuit the logic board. Once everything is connected, before pressing the display into the place, I recommend checking if the device still powers on. If it doesn't, you'd have to peel the display off again and replace the gasket. As you can see, everything is working. I also tested Face ID to make sure no dirt got onto the lenses, which could interfere with its functionality. Now I'll turn the iPhone off again and press the display into the housing. The display slides into the top part and the bottom clicks into the place. After connecting the display, check that it aligns properly with the housing on all sides. The final step is to screw in the two screws on the bottom side. After completing the repair, we can apply the new screen protector. I purposely left the old one on the display during the repair to protect it while it was in contact with the table during the frame attachment. As you can see, the display is in perfect condition. The original screen protector was probably applied since the phone was brand new. This is how the iPhone looks after the repair.